These soldiers are jumping into the Central African nation of Gabon. The last time they saw the sun was in the United States.
We were able to take that combat power from Fort Bragg, North Carolina, fly it for roughly 20-something odd hours in the air, straight here to Africa, and the next thing you know, we're exiting paratroopers over a drop zone in another country with that combat power here ready to go.
Central Accord is part of U.S. Africa Command's Accord series, which for years has run its command post activities to full-blown exercises like this one that has some 1,000 troops from 14 nations. It's the largest exercise U.S. Army Africa has conducted on the continent. The training benefits all involved, but for the American troops on the ground, many of whom have never deployed, it's an opportunity to practice readiness.
Individual readiness, we have about 600 Americans here, and they are from private up to my rank, the 2-star, all engaging with our partners and working through problem sets, whether it be in the field or in a TOC or in an embassy. The opportunity for leadership development in that aspect of readiness, you cannot replace.
The Army's top general has said his priority is readiness, and it's rare for a young officer to get the chance to plan and conduct an international drop.
Back at Bragg, when we're outloading, the devil's in the detail. A lot of stuff you don't think about until maybe right before you get on the plane, and you start asking questions like, who's signing for the chutes and who's counting for them and making sure they get loaded up, and who's actually come back and confirmed that they are loaded up in the aircraft, stuff like that. And then training with host nation security forces is right. So far, this has been extremely smooth, but there are always friction points and challenges.
Readiness also means working with new countries at the soldier level.
Cameroon country is one of the most disciplined countries out here, in my opinion. They're always motivated. We never had a problem with discipline or motivation within the platoon. The biggest thing is teaching them doctrine from the UN nation. They have their own doctrine and readjusting that doctrine, and they caught on very quick.
The American team, which was working with us, really integrated themselves into my team without any problem. Since the American Army has a bigger knowledge, we learned a lot from them, and I think they also learned from us.
I had never worked with the Cameroonians. I was expecting a little bit of obstacles getting into and intermingling, but by the third day we were my whole entire squad it was as if we were home again.
In return, Americans learned jungle tactics and small unit skills to use in austere environments. African soldiers learned skills to help them defeat some of their challenges, which leaders feel are similar to ours.
The challenges that we have and the threats and fears that the American people are dealing with are no different. And the opportunities and what we want and what they want are the same for themselves and for their children. So they're worried about terrorism. They're worried about illegal activities. So how we work and partner together to address those things can only help both of us.
It has been really great because we learned a lot. And that will go ahead to advance our army, give us the skills of tactics, and give us the skills to maintain peace and order in our sub-region and eventually in our country. And that will bring us a lot of development in there.
The goal of the Accord series is to meet a variety of training needs.
AFRICOM is feeding us their AFRICOM level objectives. The country team is providing us their objectives, and we kind of meet in the middle to look who's participating, what level of participation. So we've had gender integration training, counter IED, human trafficking classes, but they tend to go back to the UN mission command planning process, where these African partners are very familiar with because they're related to the UN peacekeeping missions.
As the Accord series has grown, so has interest from other nations.
Very early on, they really weren't sure what an Accord exercise. Now we have name recognition for these exercises, and they want to come and participate and be part of the exercise. And we have to manage the numbers very tightly sometimes because of funding and resources. But I think we could do it much larger if we had the resourcing and the capabilities to do that. And this is about readiness for the U.S. Army as well, and having U.S. soldiers here conducting live fire exercises, participating in events like our jungle warfare school, participating in airborne operations, exercising our global reaction force, builds a readiness across the board for all our U.S. soldiers. Africa is a leadership lab for our young soldiers. working in an austere environment, working with foreign militaries that we're not normally accustomed to working with, usually in a very permissive environment where there is an exchange of ideas, and it is a learning environment as well.